Paradiddles are kind of like a gateway rudiment. It's one of the first rudiments that drummers learn for fluidity and stick control, but they're so versatile and we use them all the time. Most students I see struggling with paradiddles have two main issues. The first is the lack of hand-to-hand fluidity, and the second is not having relaxed, consistent triples. Let's break down these two concepts so we can have consistent, fast, seamless, useful paradiddles. Getting the flow and the preps down comes with understanding our macro movement. Most problems here come from thinking too much or focusing too much on the diddle part of the paradiddle, which results in a hesitating, tense, robotic kind of motion. Let's start as big picture as we can, and then we'll build from there. So we're just going to start with the first note of each hand, and then add on one note at a time, and make sure that we're flowing correctly. For this demonstration, we're going to turn the metronome onto 60 BPM, and then have all the 16th note subdivisions underneath it, so we can make sure we're placing our notes exactly where they're supposed to go. 60 BPM is slow, but we're doing this to make sure that we're doing the right things. Do this for longer than you think you should. It seems easy, and it is, but we're trying to develop muscle memory so that the next steps are just as easy. Let's add the next note. So now we're gonna have the tap on the left, and then the tap on the right. So we're gonna have right, left, left, right, where the first note is louder than the second note. The preps are a bit different here. Everything should look and feel the same as our last step, but now our second note is prepping while our first note is playing. And that depends on the volume. I'm playing these taps pretty quiet, so I'm not really prepping my hand to begin with. I'm just kind of dropping it from where it's at, but I'm mentally prepping for that note to be in the right spot. Do this one for longer than you think you should too. Find your zen in this practicing. Feel everything happening inside of your hand, and pay close attention to where you're placing these notes in time, making sure you're not crushing the space in between the first two notes or making that space too big. All right, let's add one more note. Now here we find the basic 1E and 2E and 16th note rhythm. Seems easy enough, but we have to make sure that our hands are relaxed enough to maintain the fluidity that we built from our last two steps. Underneath this rhythm, we also have a basic accent tap that could be slowing us down if we're doing the wrong things. If I take out the alternating hand, I'm left with right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. So if you don't have a great approach to downstrokes, you could be tensing up on the stick, or your dynamics could be holding you back. You just got to keep your hands relaxed, don't squeeze anything, and don't let the stick come all the way back up just by letting it touch the back of our palm. To learn more about downstrokes and how to get really good at them, check out my stroke types video. You might notice that we also have to do an upstroke. So when I play my first left and right, left, right, that left hand has to prep for the left hand paradiddle, left, right, left. At slower tempos, it's not as noticeable, but as you go faster, it turns into something you have to worry about. So with upstrokes, just remember to stay relaxed, follow the stick's natural movement up to the next prep, and you should be good to go. But if you want to develop your upstrokes a little bit more, again, check out that stroke types video because it's going to help you a lot. The motion of this rhythm and the accent tap underneath it is something you need to work through intently at all tempos. If you try to take a shortcut and not do the work, it's going to take you longer to get where you want to go. So I'm going to go through this process kind of quickly to show you how we do it as I bump up the tempo a little bit. The way I'm doing this metronome stuff is kind of like a demonstration, right? So I might be jumping up 20 clicks or 30 clicks or whatever. Don't do that. Jump up like 5 to 10 clicks. Spend a lot of time there. When doing metronome work, you want to stay at one tempo for a long time until it's perfect, and then you keep going for a little bit longer. This is how you get your muscle memory going. Then you can bump up 5 to 10 clicks, whatever is comfortable for you, and you repeat the whole process over again. This is the fastest, most efficient way to get where you want to go. All right, now let's develop the triples in this paradiddle. You might be thinking, but it's a diddle, not a triple. And you're right. But isolating one hand at a time, we end up with this, which is kind of like a spaced out triple. And we approach it very similarly to how we approach triples. At slower speeds, you can stick this out. But as we move up in tempo, you have to use the rebound while shifting through the gears in our approach. So we go from only wrist to wrist and fingers, then to wrist and more fingers, and then to just kind of relying on our fingers and the bounce to do all the work. This spectrum of tempos and where we change our approach on them is kind of subjective. So where I change to mostly fingers might be different from where you change to mostly fingers. For more information about this gear change, you can check out my How to Play Fast video, which takes you through all those different steps. So when we're doing this isolated part of the paradiddle, think of the first stroke being from our wrist. Then for the next two strokes, we can use a bit more of our fingers, working with the momentum and rebound from our first stroke. It's important to remember that our hand has to stay completely relaxed so the stick can guide its way to the next prep without us forcing it. Back to 60 BPM. At this tempo, we can stroke out everything, and just don't forget about that downstroke we have to do. No tension in your hands at all. You should feel the stick vibrate while you play. Make sure we're not crushing the space in between our first two notes, our second two notes, or the space in between the hand-to-hand transition. As we go faster, don't get in the way of the movement of the stick. Think light, let the stick rebound, and use velocity. Once you've broken down these two steps of paradiddles, we want to put it all together and then repeat the process again. This whole process isn't going to fix everything in one session. It takes work and time to develop what it can be. I will undoubtedly make more videos about paradiddles and how we can use them on the drums, but for now you can check out my video about applying rudiments to the drum set to see how we use paradiddles for fills and beats. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, leave a comment, hit the bell icon because I got new videos coming out every week. Check out the description for links to my website where you can download the free PDF of what we did today. There's also a link down there to take lessons with me, and there's a link to my Instagram as well. Alright, see ya.